So, hi everybody and welcome. I'm Kirsten Winkler. I'm the founder of EDUKWEST, and today I'm joined by Brett Kopf, and he is the founder of a new service targeting teachers mainly called remind101. So, Brett, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's go maybe a little bit first at the beginning of this interview into your maybe career as entrepreneur. And I think Remind101, you founded this together with your brother. I sort of read two personalities, complementary skills, so that's great. And the product came about already in 2010. How I heard about you was over the Imagine K-12 incubator program you were part of. So tell us a little bit, what was the road to Imagine K-12, and what brought you, or what brought the decision that you said, okay, we want to be part of this program because we think it has great advantages or brings something the company is currently missing?
Yeah, sure. So I actually started it with my brother a few years ago when I initially had the idea, because when I was at school, I went to Michigan State and I was just really overwhelmed and unorganized with all my classes. And then I found that my teachers didn't really have a good way to communicate with us as students. And so I was sitting there thinking, like, how am I going to manage my class schedule? And at the same time, I got a text from a friend. I'm like, oh, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. So my brother and I just built a basic product, and we launched it in higher education at Michigan State. And we had some decent traction. And then we ran it for probably about a year. And then we applied to Imagine K-12. And thankfully we got in. And after we got in, a few weeks after, we decided to tear down the entire application, an entire year's worth of code, which was really scary, but it was the right move. Dare I say, we'll use the word pivot. We had our pivot, and we just spoke to hundreds of teachers literally over the summer, and we tried to figure out what their problems were in trying to communicate with their students and parents outside of class. And that's where we are today with Remind101, and Imagine K-12 has been amazingly helpful because the founders are obviously really experienced in technology in the Silicon Valley. So my brother and I just kind of left our jobs and moved out to the valley and started working, and so we've been here ever since. And this is how I started. This is the second company I've started. I had a small a social media consulting company in college. I started as a junior, which kind of led into Remind101. Okay,
so which is of course an important skill now for being fully into Remind101. So social media skills definitely help, I think.
Yeah, we don't have to hire any marketing firms. At least I hope, if I do my job right.
Great. So as you said, the pivot, or maybe flipping the business around, was that at the beginning, and very typically the founder himself or themselves experience a certain problem they want to solve, but then you said, due to your talks with all those teachers over the summer, it makes much more sense flipping this and targeting teachers now instead of the students, right?
Yep, exactly. And I guess, so the product that we had before was predicated on higher education. And we built it because I had this problem, and we knew some other students had this problem, but the product we built was clunky, and it was actually creating more work for teachers than it was solving a problem. So a student had to come onto the website and subscribe and then receive these alerts, and a teacher had to add their syllabus, and it was just a ton of stuff. It took a lot of time, and we weren't solving a problem. And when we got out to Silicon Valley, Tim, Jeff, and Alan, the founders of Imagine K-12, they at the core really said three things which every entrepreneur should know. They'll probably laugh at me for saying this, but for some reason we didn't do it, and that's to build a simple product, talk to our users, and solve someone's problem. Very basic, right? But we just didn't do it for some reason. So we rigorously started talking to these teachers, and we tried to solve a problem. Not tons of problems, just be really good at solving one problem. And we learned that they just didn't have a safe, effective way to communicate with students and parents, and so that's what we ended up building.
That's right. And there we can also see what probably the the importance of being part of such a program can be in the ideal case.
Anyone listening to this who's thinking about starting an education company, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting in or trying to apply to Imagine K-12, because the mentorship, the connections, and then also the other people who are in the program are just super smart and trying to tackle a lot of the same problems, and it's been exceptional. I can't speak highly enough of it.
So communication between teachers on the one hand and then students and their parents on the other hand, why did you, in a world where everybody is on a smartphone and very advanced devices, why did you take a step back, sort of being retro and launching such a text message service?
Good question. So you can't quote me on this because I don't remember the statistic exactly. It's from at least a year old, but I think it's only 40% of students have smartphones. Now, we all know that number is going to grow really fast, and in the next few years it's going to change. But that means there's 60% of the students who don't have a smartphone, but who do text message. And so SMS, text messaging, is ubiquitous, and I know it's been around for 10, 20 years, but I feel like there's huge potential in it because everyone has it, and it's the communication platform. I think right now almost a little more than even using a smartphone application to talk with friends. Text messaging is what students use to communicate, hands down, period. I don't think anyone can argue that. And that probably is moving towards smartphone applications, and we'll move with it. But for right now, we feel that it's the fastest, easiest way to penetrate the market and be able to help students communicate easier.
Right. Now, in preparation for our talk today, I read various points of view. The one said, I can imagine this best in elementary school, whereas others said, no, this is middle school or ideal for high school students.
Yeah.
You started for something as something in higher ed. So where do you think, and for which group of users does it fit best, at least at current status where we are now?
Yeah. So in Remind101's last life, I would have said higher education. In our new life, as of 6 weeks ago, or I could say 3 or 4 months ago, we're really focused on K-12. And so I guess our sweet spot is high school, because that's when students are texting, and they've kind of hit that point where they don't need a parent to be involved as much, but the parents still needs to be involved a bit, and they're texting like crazy. So K through 6, I want to be really clear about this. K through 6, usually teachers are communicating with parents. I don't think a third grader texts. If they are, this is a very progressive society. So it's K through 6 direct to parents, and then basically anything after that, the 6th grade through 8th grade, and then high school, is really a lot of teachers communicating with students directly. Now, we have tons of faculty and professors from universities and colleges who use Remind101, and I think it's perfectly applicable to that as well, but we're just kind of focused on the K-12 market, specifically high school.
So I read more than 3,000 educators already, so it definitely shows that there is some potential and something they have been waiting for. I think one of the big advantages is obviously that both sides are sort of texting anonymously. I mean, you know who you're texting with, but without getting the numbers. So what was the motivation there? I mean, this whole ecosystem, maybe a little less in college than higher education. I think it's definitely a bigger issue the younger the students are, but I think this was a very good move, and maybe could you explain your motivation behind that?
Sure, yeah. Safety is utmost important to us. So a few months ago when we spoke to teachers, I literally spoke to over 250 teachers. I'll be Skyping with them just like this and trying to figure out what their problems are. And it came down to 2 things. The first is that they just don't have an effective way to communicate. So you think that in the morning, a student comes to school, and between 8 o'clock and 3 o'clock, the student's locked in and they're there and they can talk to a teacher if they have a problem. But after 3 o'clock when they go home and on the weekends, they don't have a good way to communicate with them. So they can't text them on their personal phone because it's not safe, and they can't text all the students at once. And it's not like they can call because that takes a bunch of time. So they're like, if I can just quickly type a message, hit send, and have it distribute, to all of them instantly, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was problem number one that we solved. And the other thing is safety, in that I was talking to a teacher, he teaches 7th grade science, and he said, look, Brett, I would love to be able to text message my students, but the truth is I don't have a safe way to do it. Like, I can't do it from my personal phone. I just can't. And it's troublesome because all of my students text message.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool if I would text message them. So with Remind101, no phone numbers are ever shared. So that part's anonymous. So very briefly, how it works is that the teacher shares a class code with the students, mm-hmm. and all the students have to do is text a code to a number. And Remind101 replies and says, hey, thanks, what's your name? Mm-hmm. And once they reply with their name, they're automatically subscribed. And it's only one-way broadcasting. So the students actually can't reply back.
I see. Okay, so it's really, as you said at the beginning, so for those important messages like, hey, don't forget the test coming up next Monday, something like this, just a quick reminder. So this is why you then also said, okay, we go on the teacher side, as they are the active ones who want to distribute messages to the students or sometimes the parents maybe as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and our entire company is 100% focused on making teachers happy. If they're not happy, then this company doesn't grow at all. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the reasons we're growing so fast is, well, I think the first one is that we just listen to teachers and we're solving a problem. But the other thing is that we have a really nice distribution model from a business standpoint, in that a teacher loves our product and we have 3,000 teachers, and then they share it with all their students and parents. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're up to about 40,000 students and parents using the platform right now. And the opt-in is super easy. All they have to do is send a text message and it's done. So they don't have to visit a computer. They don't have to sign up to a website. It's just easy.
So when the students then send this class code to a number and the teacher uses the system to distribute their messages, I imagine this probably costs you not very much, but a little bit. So the teachers are using it currently for free. So where's the business at for you?
Yeah, you have to make money. It's not like we're a company. I'm just kidding. So we are eating the costs right now of the messaging. Eventually what we plan on doing is upselling to administrations and districts. So what we're finding is that teachers love our product and they've actually sold it for us. So they've inherently become our sales force. Mm-hmm. And schools are approaching us then and say, hey, we want to be able to manage all of the communications, be able to access data and analytics, and be able to easily integrate with our other student information systems. Mm-hmm. So our plan is to upsell to those administrations and keep it free for teachers.
Mm-hmm. And maybe then even have something like docking to their LMS, what they are using, or
definitely down the road, if that doesn't slow us down too much.
Well, it definitely makes sense, because I think that schools, principals, or in the administration, I mean, it's great to get extra data, but probably they don't want it in all like different places, but having it sometimes or somehow then all together and at one glance. So you said a little bit that teachers are maybe using it over the weekend or also after school, so they are willing to invest a little bit of extra time, as sending a text message is not taking so much of their free time. Or do you even see maybe later on having this playing a potential role in the classroom? I mean, as we have those discussions in K-12, how can we make more use or meaningful use of new technologies in the classroom itself?
Yeah, so first thing, we're actually saving teachers a lot of time, because the older way they would have to do it is having to call each one or write notes home. So it's pretty fast. When they initially sign up, they can do it in less than 2 minutes. And then all they have to do is hop on our website. It's like a tweet. You type a message, hit send, and it's done. So that's very fast. What was the second question you asked me?
Whether it might play a role in the classroom.
Yeah. Okay. Great question. To be honest, I'm not sure. If it's something that teachers demand and if we see that it can improve student outcomes, totally. And we think there's a lot of potential and value in somehow having some type of student group and having them communicate with each other. For example, if there's a class and they're broken up into 5 groups and they want to communicate with each other, definitely. I would say that would be down the road. Our company is, we're very niche focused and we're trying to solve a problem and eventually scale that and solve a lot of problems. But I don't think we'll get there unless we solve the one problem really well.
So then let's talk a little bit about the next imminent steps. Is the beta open to anyone who thinks they might want to apply? Do you have other restrictions, or can I go on the site remind101.com and just register myself, my class?
Yeah, register away. We are free, we are open, and we are ready to grow. We're already growing as it is, so they just have to go to remind101.com. Right now we only operate in the United States and Canada, but we've had actually a lot of requests internationally, especially from Australia, and even as far as Saudi Arabia. So that's on the to-do list. It's a little bit harder because then we get into international text messaging, and so we have a few more hurdles. That's definitely something we want to do, though, just because we feel like the penetration rate of a text message is so powerful. So that's on the to-do list. And then I would say priority is just continuing to focus on really making our product excellent for teachers and listening to what they're asking for. And one of those things are smartphone applications. So we're going to be, or maybe are, building those right now, and we'll try to get those on as soon as possible just because they want to be able to do it on the fly.
Sure, yeah, that's very understandable. And yeah, I mean, and in your personal sort of evolution as the company, I mean, I think launching is the first thing, and now you're also sort of finished with the Imagine K-12 program. Are you currently looking for investors, or are you in talks already? How is it going on the entrepreneurial side of the story?
Yeah, it's great. We are raising money, and we are talking to investors right now. Can't say much more than that, but everything is going very well.
Well, then good luck for all of that. And any other good way, Twitter, Facebook, other social media, to know more about Remind 101 or to get in touch with you, Brett?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, remind101.com is the website. I'm just at Brett Kopf on Twitter. It's BRETTKOPF. I'm always on. And other than that, feel free to send me an email. It's brett@remind101.com. We would love to hear feedback, especially from teachers. I can't stress that enough, how important it is that we listen to them, which we always do. And we'd love to hear their feedback. But please feel free to reach out. It's just brett@remind101.com.
Great. So it was a pleasure having our little talk today, and getting to know more about Remind 101. And I think you're building really something teachers want, and I mean the users show that they are already using it. So definitely sounds like you are heading in the right direction with the product.
Yeah, we hope so. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.